In this video, I'm going to break down exactly how I landed my first indie game project. My first project was an indie game called Eldest Souls by John and Francesco over at Fallen Flag Studio. Now, at the time, I didn't really realize what I had done to put myself in a position and the opportunity to get hired and work on such a project. So I thought it was an useful exercise to go back and analyze and trying to figure out exactly how I got from A to B. A little background about me first. When I left high school, I joined a band to start touring and playing heavy metal music. I didn't want to go to uni, I just wanted to play, and that's what I did. We toured, we wrote albums, we recorded, etc., played festivals, and after about 4 years or so, at the end of it, I decided I wanted to pivot my career and re-educate myself, as it were. That's when I decided to go to uni and study a complete music degree and figure out exactly where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do. I landed on the idea of becoming a media composer for film and television. During uni, I picked up every opportunity I could get my hands on. Art projects, student films, video game projects, any excuse to write some music. I then met John and Francesco at one of the events that I attended during that time, which was a workshop hosted by Intel in central London. Now, the reason I went to this event was because a friend of mine recommended it. He said it was cool, that was enough for me. There were talks from industry-leading studios and individuals, a chance to meet new people, and a showcase of indie games where anybody could try demos and stuff that people were working on. Also, there was free food. So whilst I was there, I eventually tried all the indie games, started talking to as many people as I could, and that's when I met John and Francesco, where they were showcasing a super early beta of Eldest Souls at the time. We chatted, we exchanged emails, and then I went home and followed them up with a contact, and from then we met up a few weeks later, and the rest is history. They got picked up by a publisher, we got funding, and ultimately we all got paid to create our first game together. So now in hindsight, and after attracting many different clients and projects since then, I've started to analyze and realize how I get into these positions where people want to hire me. And really, there are only two things that we should be concerning ourselves with. One is practicing our desired skill, and the second is networking like crazy. So I'm going to break down several points now using my Eldest Souls gig as a case in point. Number one, learning the skills. Now, uni was great in many ways, but it didn't really teach me the skills that I'm using today. In fact, I'd say about 10% of my higher education is directly applicable to what I'm doing now. But like I said, uni was useful for many other reasons, for meeting like-minded individuals and being taught by masters of each subject and getting their advice and experience. So because I lacked this knowledge for the field that I was heading for, I took extra classes and courses around my main degree, be it DAW production, film composition, or mixing and mastering, anything that I thought would be useful towards what I was going to achieve. And by doing all of this, I then had the skills and tools to be ready to be hired by somebody on a project. Even if I didn't know the ins and outs of working in a team and what it was expected of me to work on an indie video game, I understood my role. I understood how to write music and how to use my tools. And that's enough to get started. Number two was presenting yourself online. Even if you have no paid projects or no experience under your belt, putting yourself out there is very important. You might not be in a position to be hired by somebody, and nobody's going to accidentally hire you thinking that you know everything if you don't. However, if you're putting yourself out there as early as possible and showing people that you're learning, showing people that you're progressing, when you do get to a point where you're ready to be hired by somebody, you're already on people's radar. And I did the same thing. I set up a very basic website using Squarespace. I put up a couple demos of some of the art projects I did, or just pieces of music that I wrote on my own, just to showcase what I could do. And I also had some very basic business cards handy, which is a nice little aftertouch, but not essential. The main thing that you should be focusing on is putting yourself out there on social medias and websites, something that people can go to and see you progressing. Number three is networking. And like I said, it's super important. If you don't meet the people who might potentially hire you, then you're definitely not going to get any projects. It's as simple as that. More so than that, you meet people who know more than you, who are perhaps in the same field as you, who can give you advice, give you hints, and give you a sense of direction moving forward. So everything kind of feeds into each other. Meeting people is the best thing you can do for your career. There is a misguided notion that we have to wait for clients to knock on our door and offer us work, and that we have to be lucky that people know who we are and stumble upon our stuff online. But the truth is, the more that we actively do to find gigs and to meet people, the better chances we have of these projects coming our way. Number 4 is setting up freelance safeguards. The first time that we sat down to talk, there was no money involved. There was no publisher at the time, so we were just meeting to work on a game together because it was our passion. So the first exercise that we underwent together was me working on a trailer that they were putting out. No sound design, no gameplay, just a trailer, that's it. Just to see if we could work together. And the first thing I thought in the back of my head was, if they didn't want to take me any further than this trailer, I needed to make sure that whatever I worked on, I was allowed to use to advertise my skills to other people. And that's what we agreed upon. There was no money, so we just came to an agreement that even if they didn't use this trailer, or even if they didn't want me to work on the rest of the game, I could have this piece of music to showcase what I was doing. So immediately before starting on it, I had some sort of value that I was going to take away from it, which is great. The equivalence of this now is me taking things like upfront payments from clients and writing down statements of work and sending sound design proposals for clients to sign. Ensuring you get something out of your project, even if it's unpaid, is very, very important. We don't have the same security and safeguards that fully employed people do, or people who work for a big studio and a company. So we have to make sure that we have these little rules that we follow to ensure that we're comfortable when we're working and secure financially. So there you go. I learned new skills, presented myself professionally, met new people, and landed my first gig. By actively putting myself out there, I stumbled upon a perfect opportunity that suited my skills and position. However, that day I was also the only person to beat their impossibly difficult boss fight, and I'm pretty sure that's what really got me the gig, but we'll never know. Hope you found this video useful. I'm planning to put out a few more. If you found it useful, please let me know in the comments, and if you wanted to hear something that I didn't mention, let me know as well. I also have a free course on Skillshare, expanding on all the things that I wish I knew at the start of my career, including business skills and habit building. I also supplement this course with a free game audio mailing list where I hand out tips, tricks, and more free resources that I know people will find useful. If you want to sign up to either of these, there'll be links in the description.